Tyler are prepping a few scallops. Everyone says you can use a butter knife or you can use a palette knife. I actually use just a sharp butchery knife because I think it gives a nice cleaner cut. And again, you can go in this way or you can go this way, but I tend to go in this way. Hold the knife at a 45-degree angle and then just cut down. You're aiming to have no flesh left on this side of the shell at all. And then you've got that beautiful scallop. There's a membrane that goes around the scallop here. So we just take a spoon, a standard kitchen spoon, and just place it in between the scallop and that membrane. And then you just lift it up slightly just so it releases from the top, and then push down. So the scallop hangs out perfectly. You've got absolutely no meat left there. Dip it into the water to wash it, but really, really quickly. You don't want them to absorb water, and that's your perfect scallop. Keep them really super dry. Like when they come, often they're sitting in loads of water, they've been sitting on ice. That's basically the worst thing you can do for a scallop. You need to keep them super, super dry. Even when you're washing them, you're just dipping them in and out of the water really, really quick because they absorb moisture. So yeah, keep them dry, and then when you sear them quite hot because you need that crust and that caramelization, and then let them rest for a good amount of time as well. There's a little bit of surface layer moisture on there, so it's just really important just to pat that dry. So what we're trying to do, like basically, we're using a plancha, but at home you could just use a pan. But we're trying to get a super beautiful crust on here. So whenever you place your oil on, so let it sit for a little minute. If you think that's cold oil at the moment, but it's gone there, it's going to get really nice and hot. And then you always get shellfish sticking or fish sticking to grills or pans. Basically, that's just to do with temperature. So if you've got a really nice hot grill or hot pan at home, that'll never happen. Just hold your finger on there. That weight is going to make sure that every little part of that scallop, the face of the scallop, has got a really nice even crust. I'm not putting any real significant weight on it. It doesn't need it. It's only a tiny little bit of meat. But then once you've got that, you can see that it's not sticking. What we do is we agitate it. So we move it to another part of the grill and then add a little bit more oil underneath. So there you go, you got that stunning golden crust all the way across the scallop. And now we're just going to touch it on the other side. Like with all fish, it's basically 90% of the cooking on one side, and then the rest is the last little 5% just to take the rawness off the bottom. See, that's on 35 degrees at the moment, 36. Ideally, that wants to get out to the customer at about 48. But what people always forget is, like, by the time you actually eat it, it's going to be like 3 to 4 minutes from now. So it's really important when you're cooking fish that you anticipate that kind of wait time and don't hammer it to it's exactly 48 degrees. By the time they eat it out there, it's going to be a little bit overcooked. So now, last stage, what we do at the restaurant. This is pickled lemon juice, just with rapeseed oil. We call it Jesus juice. Just goes on everything at the end. A little bit of pepper, final little bit of salt. You can see you've got this like rainbow effect that's going blushing all the way across the scallop. So you know that it's perfectly cooked. Absolutely beautiful, translucent almost. And then you've got that beautiful crust on top as well. I got a lot of affection for scallops. I think every chef would pretty much agree, like the flavour of the scallop, sweet flesh, like really, really well cooked with that roasted flavour and that smell that comes off them is just like absolute pleasure. They're becoming more scarce in the wild. Oysters were the main source of protein in London in the Industrial Revolution. Lobsters used to be fed to prisoners, and scallops are exactly the same. It wasn't seen as a really high-end food. It's just as people are seeing the true sort of value and flavour of them, that they're now seen as a really luxury premium good. I think if you cook them badly, they're actually quite tough. I think a lot of people compare scallops to tasting a little bit like rubbery, and that just means it's just like if you overcook a steak. It's really unpleasant when they're super, super rubbery. So keeping it really soft and just cooking it just until we call it medium rare in the restaurant. That's super important. It just tastes completely different. It's super soft. Really almost flesh, almost translucent, but then you can get that beautiful crust on there as well. So you can taste that beautiful crust on the top, nice and crunchy and crispy. And then the meat's perfectly tender, really, really soft, and it's beautifully sweet as well.